We'd like to thank Aero Passage for bringing us down here today to tear up the road with the rubber, and also with Shane. Give it up for Shane Croxton, ladies and gentlemen. I do have to tell you, he's got a broken foot, and we don't make excuses, but this is the first time back on his bike. He could be at home, just like half this other country, sitting, watching TV, doing whatever, not helping the cause. But he chose today to be here today, and to also jump on that bike. And we just thank God that he's all right in one piece. Give it up for my boy, Big Boy Stunts. This is Cody Brown. Give it up for Cody. You know what? I'm going to lay it down for just a minute. We're Ride for Life. And I just passed an anniversary up, which was October 4th, 2011. That was 5 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. I walked out of a courtroom that morning, and this was a different courtroom than I've ever walked out. It was one that took my breath away and put a final blow to my soul. It was my wife sitting on the other side that was ending our marriage. I was a full-blown drug addict at the time. I'd been a drug addict, a hardcore drug addict, for about the last 5 years prior to that. The drug of choice was all of them. I didn't discriminate. My drug abuse. I was a speed freak at heart. That's how I started. But I ended up, I started listing out all the drugs that I was taking, and I ran out of paper. So, is this really what it's about here today? My drug abuse? My alcoholism? See, this guy right here probably needs to hear this. That's why God's got him tied up in that corner. So we'll keep talking, right? You see, before my drug abuse started, I was a raging alcoholic. I dragged my wife into it for 12 years. Today I preach the light, but I can't preach the light until I show you the darkness that I came out of. But on that day, it was done for me. You understand? Because I walked out of that courtroom and I wasn't going to see October 5th. I was planning on going home and overdosing myself on a bottle of Xanax. Anybody know what Xanax is out there? You know what? Some of my best drug dealers were my doctors. And you see, kids, one of the things that I'm up here and why God saved me on that night is so that I can bring the truth along with the light. There's good and bad to everything out here. At 17, 23 years prior, I made a horrible decision. Something tragic happened to me in my life. Anybody know tragedy out there? Anybody know pain or suffering? Anybody know anger? Come on, throw them up. If you don't know anger, I want to talk to you afterwards. Well, you see, when this tragedy struck me, and I was an innocent young kid, I turned into a monster at one point, and I got back what I was putting out. But this particular time, I didn't do anything. It just happened to me. And at that point in my life, I had little or no understanding of who God was or who Jesus was. The only time I paid attention to God or Jesus was on Christmas and Easter so I could get my presents. But when this tragedy struck, I looked up and I said, how dare you? How dare you do this to me? I didn't do this. I didn't do what happened to deserve this. So at that point in my life, I turned my back on God. I thought God was a joke. I thought Jesus was a joke. The next 5 years was nothing short of a war in my family. I don't have time to go through those details, but all I'm trying to do is get to somebody or prevent somebody from walking down the same path that I did. You see, now I know when I turn my back on God, I walked right into Satan's arms. And the sooner that people believe that, I believe the more hope you'll have to stay away from trouble in the future. You see, I go all over talking in places against drugs, and I just came out of a corporation. They brought me in to talk about drug prevention. talk about what to do. In certain places, I can't talk the real truth. I have to jump around it. But here I can. You see, when I turned my back at that young man, I was 17 years old, and I look at these kids out here. I just thought I was going into Scott's future, and I was going to get whatever I wanted to fill that void, to fill that loss, to fill that pain, to fill that anger, or to alleviate it so that I could sleep. I couldn't even sleep anymore. Toss and turn like a fish. It was exhausting. But little did I know, I walked into Satan's arms. And it wasn't the 1-year plan, it wasn't the 5-year plan, it was an extended mortgage on my life and my soul and my spirit. And you know what the crazy thing about me is those bikes brought me millions of dollars. They brought me magazine covers, fame and fortune. You see, I thought when I got those things and I got that money, that emptiness would go away, that anger would be suppressed, that I could actually enjoy a full day and not just enjoy a minute or two or an hour. My life was unfulfilling. This emptiness didn't go away. And all I did was set my goals higher. Well, if it's not 100 grand, it's going to be 200 grand. And then when I got to 200 grand and it still was there, that's when I checked into a doctor. I said, doctor, there's something wrong with me. I can't escape this emptiness in my life. So what did he do? He put a little paper bag together with all these samples. Said, take these. Call me in the morning. I'm not talking bad about all the doctors out there, but I will call out the ones that assisted me in my addiction. And I'm not putting all the blame on them, because I was the one that walked through those doors. You see? But there's certain people in my life that aided my addiction problem. And beyond the addiction problem, that were stripping my soul and my spirit. That's where my addiction started, in my mid-20s. The painkillers and the anti-anxiety pills, they seemed like they were answering my problems. At least the nights. You see, the nights were unbearable in my life. So that's where the pain was covered with the drug addiction. I could get rid of the nights. I could never get rid of those mornings, though. And if we have any addicts out there, those mornings, man, whether you're 5 days in, 6 days in, whether you passed out for 2 days and wake up, that was hell on earth. And that's all my life was. So you see, when I'm sitting there on October 4th, 2011, and I'm walking out as this broken, empty man, and the only thing that loved me unconditional was cutting the line, that's why I was exhausted. I was done. I didn't think there was an answer. There was nobody there holding out a hand. And I can tell you there's guys right here that are holding out their hands. And there is an answer. There was an answer for me, or I wouldn't be up here right now. And his name was Jesus Christ. He took it all away. You see, on that night, I got a reality check. Right before I was going to end it, he came to me. And he said, no, you are forgiven. There is a way. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to my Father except through me. And you know what I did? Look at those chills. I said, yes, sir. You see, I was broken. I was done with my life. He held out his hand, and I took it. And you gotta understand, for 23 years, I tried every other way to fix this. The doctors were trying to fix this. There was only one man in the end that could take it all away. And when I started following Jesus Christ, you see, he started to remove. I was no longer trying to manage sobriety. When I was managing sobriety, that was still misery to me because I wanted to use. And that's like torture. But when I started following Jesus Christ, he started to remove those urges. He started to take away. You see, I was thinking about drugs every 5 minutes. He started to remove. I started doing the right thing. I started falling in love with the man. When I was saved that night, I didn't quite understand why he chose me. Because right now, there's a lot of young men and women that are dying. We've been traveling all over this country. They're dying in packs. So it's up to us to stick out the hand. And that's what I'm really here for today. If he can save me, he can save anybody out there. So if you're struggling now, please talk to me. We have literature over there. We have this whole house. It's why they brought us here. They're holding out their hand. It can end like it ended for me. And I'll leave you with one last note. One of my favorite things, unfortunately at probably the worst time, when Jesus was on that cross and he was bleeding out. Bleeding from the head. Thorns in his skull. Spit on. Beaten. Tortured. He's walking up that hill, carrying cross. Still getting spit on. Beat. Whipped. You're a joke. You're a liar. But when he was on that cross, ladies and gentlemen, and this is something I didn't know 5 years ago, and this is why I'm going to give it to you. He said one thing. He said a lot of things, but he said one thing for me. And this happened on October 4th, 2011. He said, "It is finished." And when he said it is finished, he means it can all go away if we choose him today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Scott Caraboolad, Ride for Life.